So in this video I want to cover the topic of the production possibilities curve, and then the next video I'll cover the topic of opportunity cost. They're very interrelated, but I'm just going to break it up so that we have as small pieces as possible. So the production possibilities curve is the curve that defines the limits of production for an economic unit. That could be a firm, a nation, a region, a person. You get the picture. So the production possibilities curve that I'm going to introduce you to is going to be for an individual person, and it's going to be for you and the grades that you can produce or receive in this case. So imagine that you only have 4 hours left to study and you have 2 tests tomorrow. So you can either study for your test in biology or you can study for your test in economics. And if you spend all of your time studying for your test in economics, you'll get an A. If you spend 3 hours studying economics, you'll get a B. 2 hours, you'll get a C. 1 hour, you'll get a D. And 0 hours, you'll get an F. You'll fail it. And so the same thing goes for biology. If you spend 4 hours, you'll get an A on your biology test. 3 hours, you'll get a B. 2 hours, you'll get a C. On and on. So it says, draw the production possibilities curve of grades you can receive. So I put this axis over here. It's a regular 4-quadrant axis. But the first thing that I want to highlight is that production possibilities curves only exist in the first axis, because you can't really produce negative grades. You can't get, in this case, you can't go ahead and get worse than an F. So we're going to go ahead and limit ourselves to this first quadrant right here. So if an F is worth 0, you can't get worse than a 0. You can't get a negative grade point average. So we're going to go ahead and say that a 0 is an F is equal to a 0, is equal to 0 grade point, D is equal to 1, and so forth and so on. So an A will be equal to 5. Or let's see, no, so a C will be a 2, a B will be a 3, and an A will be a 4. Sorry. So we're going to go ahead and just count up 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll go over 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. And so the second thing that's important about a production possibilities curve is that it's a trade-off between 2 goods. So in this case, this will be, I'll put on the y-axis your bio grade, and then on the x-axis I will put your econ grade. And so now we just want to graph the different options the different ways that you can spend your time and the results that you'll get. So if you can get a 4 in bio if you spend all 4 hours studying biology, and then you'll get a 0 in economics, right? If you spend all your 4 hours studying bio, you'll get an A, which is worth 4, and you'll fail your econ test, you'll get a 0 in econ. So that would be represented by this point right here. Now if you instead decide to spend all 4 hours studying econ, you'll get an A in econ, but you'll fail your bio test. And so that will be this point right over here. And you can go ahead and see that if you spend 3 hours studying econ and 1 hour studying bio, you'll get a B in econ, which is worth 3 points, and you'll get a D in bio, which is worth 1 point. So you'd be right here. If you spend 2 hours in econ and 2 hours in bio, you'll get C's in both classes. If you spend 3 hours on bio and 1 hour in econ, you'll get a B in bio and a D in econ. And so this is the range, or this is the limit of your capacity to produce good grades. Now the next thing that I want to say about the production possibilities curve is that you can go ahead and you can produce on this line, or you can produce inside of it. So you don't have to spend all of your time studying. You could go study for, let's say you study for econ for 1 hour, and then you study for bio for 2 hours. Well, you'll get a D in econ and a C in bio, and that would be represented by this point right here in blue. So you don't have to spend all of your time studying. You have 4 hours to study, but you don't have to spend all of it. So you can produce anywhere inside of this line up to any point on this line. The last thing that I want to say about the production possibilities curve is that you cannot produce outside of it. So say that I want to try and get an A in econ and an A in bio. Well, that would be great if I had more time to do it, but I don't have enough time. It would take me 4 hours to get an A, to study enough to get an A in econ, and it would take me 4 hours to study enough to get an A in bio, but I only have 4 hours. I don't have 8 hours. So getting to this point out here, which would be an A in bio and an A in econ, is an impossibility. It can't happen. So you have to produce inside your production possibilities curve. So we've gone ahead and drawn the production possibilities curve for the grades that you can receive in this setup, and in the next video we'll go over opportunity cost.